Good morning, guys. It's been a while. Happy Memorial Day to those in the States. It looks like we have a couple people tuning in elsewhere. Goat is over in Cuba. Good for you, man. Have a good time. Hopefully you're staying safe over there. I don't know much about Cuba, but seems kind of sketchy. I don't know what you're doing there, but enjoy. Max, how are we doing today? You got the dog walk out of the way. You don't have shit to do with the rest of your day. Are you going to trade or are you going to do anything else?
I've got literally nothing to do but trade, mate. I have nothing going on in my life.
Right on. Okay, well, guys, let's get into the charts. We'll talk about it. We'll probably do these on Mondays. Max was just bringing up the idea. That's kind of his day to put out a public video. So maybe we'll just do a Monday live stream. And then after that, we'll go back to the normal schedule as far as just static content. Don't really have a lot of levels up for you guys. I guess there's plenty of levels on the chart, but realistically, we just started a new week. So the most important thing to do is kind of realize, have we hit a major resistance, which in this case we actually have, and have we, got any targets that are, statistically based, like averages. So you do have averages of price right now. And one of the big ones is going to be your daily pivot, right? It's right here. I imagine, Max will have to correct me on this, but I would imagine that the previous day value area high probably comes in here somewhere close. Then the weekly pivot is down here, and your China weekly pivot here with your previous day point of control and the previous week point of control down beneath us. So you've got targets to the downside for sure. The question is, can you justify taking a short in these regions? And, one thing I want to talk about is where we are on the chart. We started at this quarter two open on the high here. If we go back to the 1 hour, for instance, you can see exactly how well this played out. And this was an area that I mapped off for everyone. Actually, a couple weeks ago when we started talking about a potential ABCD setup, I said we should really target 382, 0.5, and then the 0.618, as those are going to be the targets of that setup. But this is the 0.5. It also happens to be your quarter two open. And if you were to get into the high time frames, why is the quarter two open important? Well, it's the 50% mark. But if you claim this, resistance right here with the quarter two open and the quarter two open and the March close, essentially, you are looking up towards your monthly open, which is realistically the level you have to reclaim before we can actually get super bullish. So when you guys see, titles and people saying things like bull market's back on, we're going to 50K or whatever, it's all irrelevant until this level is actually claimed at 29,237. To be quite upfront with you, these are all clickbait things. These are also people really exerting their bias into what you guys are perceiving as viewers. So be careful with that. Level to level is always going to be one of those things where it's a tough thing to grasp. As of right now, our bias is towards the upside. However, where do we start to change that bias? We need to be aware of, because you do have a bit of a range reclaim here. I believe I was using this range right here. As you can see, we had the 1-to-1, which we covered in the group, right? We had the 1-to-1 into the April naked pivot. And then you had two averages of price that we've been discussing both publicly and in the group at 26,610 and 26,724. You've now seen the rotation back to the quarter two open. This is also your quarterly VWAP. So this started at the beginning of the new quarter, which is almost 2/3 of the way over. So this is your volume weighted average price for the last 60 days, give or take. And it is very material because it's a quarterly, closure. So coming in at the 0.5 and the quarter two open, we'll turn the 0.5 on real quick for you here. So you can kind of see how things are starting to line up. Now, in terms of the monthly, how does that shape up? You can kind of see you get back above this level. We can target that gold pocket and that monthly level at 29,237. Until then, though, you're really kind of playing this for what it is. This is resistance. This is a good place to take a short, in my opinion. And you have to be prepared to take profits on that short, so you don't get, completely fucked if this continues up, because this is your quarterly regression as well. So shout out in the group. I think it was Right Way brought this to my attention, but if you're just paying attention to the quarterly tools that we use, both the regression, the VWAP, volume profile, all that stuff, right? Those are things that we do pretty, I wouldn't say exclusively, but we do pretty well. And we really hammer home that we should be using the sessions as guides, because that's what they're there for. They're the constants, and you can't have constant variables, which is something I mentioned before. So you've come up to the top of it, right? You've come up to the top of your major session. If you break out of this, there's no reason why you probably won't test 29,237, maybe even a little bit higher here up in like this 29 region. But realistically, if this area of the chart is not claimed, I just don't see any reason why we should be looking for higher just yet. Now, my bias is still bullish on this move, because this rejection isn't like a move ender or anything. However, you can't be looking for longs in this region, I guess is the point I'm trying to make. You have to be, saying, okay, where is my next best opportunity to maybe get some risk to the upside if I believe this move is going to come up to these levels, which as of right now, I have no reason to think that it won't come up and tag 29,182 and 29,237, which is, with where we are now, that's $1,500 away. That's a good size move. So how do I get a chunk of that? We have to identify where are the mean reversions, and then what are we going to do with those? So some guys in the group are already doing some pretty good work on it. They're already looking and saying, obviously this blue box for us has been super key. We've been saying, if you're above this blue box, Gucci, basically. If you're below it, we're looking back down towards the lows. Pull your fibs. Where does your gold pocket line up? Lines up really, really, really nicely with the yearly pivot here at like 26.8. So to me, still looking at this overall as range bound, even if you wanted to just include all of this price action and say that, this whole section of price is one giant range. It's also your value area low. So you still do have really good support in this region. And then if it was broken, it would probably not look great, but this is going to be a major, major inflection zone, as you saw in the regression from the Q2. And that if we break through it, one, we should expect the top of the range. But then, does it stop there is the question. Do we get a trade to the downside, or do we get that, continuation up? Still exposed long on Bybit, as they don't force you to close positions after they did the KYC thing. So for me, just holding that position and, keeping an eye on things. My bias is that this will probably hit this blue box to the upside. I don't necessarily know that we're going to get a pullback all the way to this zone, but it is one of those things where if you are going to be looking for an invalidation, like, hey, when does this move really break down? It's realistically here. Now, in terms of early warning shots, there are always ways to find those, in my opinion. Let's get rid of the volume profile real quick. So if I was looking for an early sign of weakness, where would it be? Well, you can see you've got a pretty decent inflection point here, right? So you can see this low that's coming in. And I'll go ahead and put a horizontal line there that we've actually been covering this low quite a bit for a while now, but this is going to be the area on the chart that when you look at it, you got to hang on to it. 27,659, right? It's been a really good barometer in terms of support. And if you were to take this now and just kind of put it on a chart with the other levels, you can see exactly why. It's below your daily average. Once you're back below this level, you're going to be targeting the averages of price from 27,404, 27,200, which is a daily naked point of control, and then 27,091. And then, maybe lower over time. I would ignore these. These are just extras that have been tossed in there, I guess. Sometimes it includes the last week's pivot, but realistically showing you that this is the region of the chart between probably 27,659 and 27, 1, which is a wide region. You want to be able to be holding on to that trend. If you don't, you are looking down to that gold pocket here with the weekly naked point of control, the yearly pivot, daily naked point of control, et cetera, et cetera. And that becomes your next major inflection zone for a trade. But yeah, I mean, you've run into pretty good resistance here. So the targets are still up until proven otherwise. I do start to question things below this level, though. Below this level, not a huge fan of what's happening in the sense that, are there opportunities down here? Absolutely. I'll be looking for longs in this region because you can't really look for anything else. However, if the level is not reclaimed over time, when I say time, I don't mean like weeks. I mean like in a couple days, you could be looking for a bigger correction, especially if you start giving up more and more support, right? If you come down below this level and you start living down here, but you're not actually making a new high and you just come down, you could realistically run into problems. You'll either get a V-shaped recovery or it's going to nuke through the level and head to these lower valuation targets. So be careful with that. There's always options there, but my inclination is, up. I just don't think it's a good time to be long, in this region of the chart, just based on the resistance we hit. And Max can kind of attest to it because we talked about it on our live stream last night when we were covering the level. He had a pretty decent OI indicator up, showing how many Bitcoin were basically there if we were to take this level. So that 0.5 and quarter to open was a really solid area to be looking for. And I imagine, that lines up with what he's looking at. So I don't really have anything else, guys. I mean, this has been a fun rally. If you guys follow me on Debate Crypto, you guys know that I was looking for one thing. We were talking about this as a Monday high and low. I'll pull that up real quick before Max takes over. This was like an old Forex setup. Okay, so you can see the blue Monday low, Monday high. You can see the previous week low. You've effectively swung failure previous week low into the Monday high, gave you very good trades, and then it was reclaimed. And when it was reclaimed, if you go down to like a 5-minute, because I know you guys are all degens here, you can really see just how clean the Monday low was. And then up to the Monday EQ, back into support. You had a really nice gold pocket long right here. And from there, you've now tested the Monday range high. So it's been really, really clean. And that was the setup you should have been looking for. It was the setup that I gave particularly because these were the levels that had the most inflection. And they are holding true, which I'm pretty happy about. So it's all up to you guys on how you want to trade it after that. I mean, here's the thing. We can give you the levels. We can even give you the trades. But realistically, your decisions and what you decide to do in those moments are going to be what makes you either profitable or not. So keep that in mind. Yeah, that's all I've got. I'm going to turn it over to Max. I heard him hop on here. I know he's itching to talk about his little indicator.
No, I'm not. I accidentally snuck my screen in there while you're still talking. But yeah, okay, let's get into it. I'm actually going to get rid of the RSI for now. So, yeah, I mean, it was pretty clear that. So yesterday we had our members update, and Magic gave us 2 regions on the chart which we could go to and look for a short. One was the gold pocket, which is still above us from the high, and the other was the 0.5, which lined up really nicely with the quarter 2 open. I'm actually not sure that is a single print there, so don't quote me on that one. In fact, I can check that later, and I can just delete it for now. But you had a 0.5 on the quarter 2 open, and go on, I will show the indicator. So it's this one here, and I need to go to the 50-minute. It pretty much highlighted this. It's a bit of a mess, but you really have to zoom in. And it's a low time frame thing, but you can do it on the high time frame now and then. But you can see from this high, which we had back here from the 10th of May, yeah, effectively, you had 1,000 Bitcoin, which lined up with the region that he was giving. And what happens when you get to these liquidity points? You do get a move past it to secure all the liquidity, because you'll have your traders that are thinking, I'm not going to put my stop loss at the exact low. I'll put it, $20 above it, and that's going to really help. These are the type of things that that occur, and then that's why you get moves. That's why swing failure patterns occur, and you go, what do we go past? $150 past, because people will be putting their stop losses, consistently further away, thinking, I'm being really smart here. I'm being really savvy, moving my stop loss just a little bit further. And realistically, once that first one's triggered, it just creates a cascade of events to lead you up to regions such as the trading setup that we were looking for yesterday. But anyway, off the 15-minute, back to the one, and let's get that gone for now. We'll come back to it in a minute. The uptrend was so strong, really, really bullish open interest without the throughout the whole trend, and then you started to get a couple regions where you had the spikes. And we said yesterday on the stream, I'm pretty sure I said right at the start that there's a very high chance that you come down here. Let me zoom in because I don't think you guys can see. So I'm being mean. There's a very high percentage chance that we drop down. When did we stream? We streamed about around here. There's a very high percentage chance that we drop down because when you've got such a strong uptrend with such bullish bullish open interest, the trend only ends when you've exhausted. Typically, it only ends when you've exhausted, completely exhausted one side of the market. Open interest is longs and shorts. It's you have to have one long to one short. It's $1. So we know that overall on this aggregate indicator, we've got 3.3 something billion worth of dollars worth of liquidity effectively in open interest there. So when you've got an uptrend, it means that there's a load of trapped shorts in the open interest and in the trend. In this instance, we have trapped shorts because obviously it's an uptrend. So vice versa for downtrend, you're going to have trapped longs. But uptrend, we've got trapped shorts. When you get a open interest drop, that's typically when you've exhausted one side of the market. So you can see we had it was actually a spike followed by a drop. You don't see these all that often, but it was obviously triggered by some people buying, and then it just flushed out, whoever was there liquidity wise. I think you had a high on the left hand side, which it potentially swung for, but it was also rejecting from this key weekly low that Magic mentioned a minute ago. But then price, came back down, and you can see the open interest pretty much continued as it was on before. And then price dropped. And what this will do is this will panic traders that have been buying, down here. They're thinking, I'm not going to let this trade go into a runner. We've just SFP'd or rejected from a specific level. I'm not going to let my trade go to a loss, and they'll start to selling. And that's where some of the liquidity, let's say they're there and they want to then flush out the weaker hands to then move it up. This is the type of thing they're going to do. They're going to come and sweep towards the lows, start to panic everyone, and then just take it back up. And it's business as usual of the uptrend. Then you've got a couple spikes here, and this was kind of I said it here. When you're getting these open interest drops, it's kind of the the writing is coming to be on the wall. The fact that the trend is most likely going to be over. And it stayed the same. You're getting the drops of open interest up there. And then what happened after that is you were getting increasing open interest with a downtrend. So then it's flipped. Okay, now you're trapping the longs and you're not letting them get out of profit. So what I've done here is, and I was talking about this all day in the group, where we were when I woke up about here. Yeah, 9 o'clock. What a lazy bastard. But anyway, you've got a ton of open interest increasing there, and yet we were sat below where the majority of it had entered, and that just creates a lot of resistance above you as those trapped longs are thinking they're going to get out at a minimum loss. If your account goes down a couple $100, and then you're up and it says you're only down $20 or $30, you might think, oh my god, I've saved this amount of money, and then you exit, and then it creates resistance for the rest of the price action. And the fact you had that increase in open interest with the downtrend, you're going to get things where it drops down like this. Now, what I will say is this is a very good reversal point, and it did offer, I think it was even on the 5 minute as well, the PVA red-green reversal signal. Volume spike was clearly there. Obviously, it comes with the PVAs, but you had the reversal signal there. Let's go and take a look at the delta, because I believe it was a delta switch up. Yeah, you got a nice delta switch up, and you see here you got open interest increasing, positive delta. Red candle not the best, but you've got those buying imbalances coming off that, which they are your entry triggers. So you had entry triggers, reasons to enter there after you've had all the reversal signals that we that we preach about. So this was certainly a scalp trade for anyone that was at the computer to take it. I've not taken a trade today, so that's why I'm trading after this stream. But yeah, right now, what I'm currently expecting is, well, let me go back to this because I feel like it's just a bit cleaner on TradingView. I really love open interest on TradingView. Really, really am enjoying it. Looking at this that we've got here, it's just not as strong as the downtrend was back here. So am I expecting us to have a really fast drop? No, I'm not. I'm not expecting it to be, you know, a washout of positions, but I'm looking to that level which Magic mentioned, the key weekly low, the pivot, and you've also, he is correct, you have got the previously value area high there. So there's also Dalton potential. But how do we trade Daltons initially? Obviously, you got to trade the bounce from the previously value area high in this instance because it just provides, it just is a really good trade and it has been for quite some time. So, you know, it's the first initial trade that is provided by the Dalton. With all that other stuff that you've got there, previously value area high, pivot, and that key weekly low, I just think that it's going to be, you know, a bounce territory. And the fact you've also got this here, which is, you know, similar instance to what you had there, where it's going to be resistance above you. This here, where you've had this, let me make this a bit cleaner. I drew all these boxes yesterday, but I seem to have deleted them. You know, you've got this box of open interest here. Ooh, let me make it so it doesn't spread across, please. Don't do that. And then let me draw this here. It's playing with me. Right, there we are. So you can see here we've had the really large open interest increase in this area. So similar thing above you where you've had a large open interest increase that was resistance at a later point. Where you have had this open interest increase, that's going to be support when we get down here. So with all of these things combined, this is an area where I know Magic was saying this, you don't want to be looking for longs here, but you know, this is where you want to be looking for longs if you're a day trader. So yeah, that's kind of my opinion of it. You know, this is where I'm going to be looking to potentially get into a buy. Where am I wrong? Below it, pretty simple stuff. You know, there's no need to sugarcoat it. I would be looking to get in up here. Ideally, I'm not going to be drawing a fixed range and trying to get into the point of control. I'm really not that phased about that because we can do it. I said I'm not going to woo it to the bottom. Well, anyway, it doesn't change the fact that you'd be trying to get in at the top in a bounce. You'd have to see your reversal signals. I did a little checklist for the group yesterday on that. And then, you know, stop losses below the low effectively, because that's where you're going to be wanting to, you know, this is where you're wrong, because then you've also turned this into resistance as well. And you don't really want to be sitting in a position when you've got resistance right at your doorstep. It's normally a time where you want to close that, close that trade for, you know, a small loss. I'd rather do that than let it completely tear us down here, as it very easily could, because, you know, we've come up pretty fast. We can go down even faster. So, you know, quick scalps in and out is clear, you know, areas that we're incorrect. So, you know, there's no need for us to not use them. But yeah, uptrend strong. I do think it's going to continue personally. So I'm going to be trying to get into longs to continue with the uptrend. But yeah, shorts from now. Oh, difficult one. Yeah, shorts I'd say are more difficult because even though we're up here, I'd say short. This is such a clear trade for me to want to take that I don't really spot a clear winner. Do you know what? Tell a lie. We've got 3 highs here on the 5 minute. I'd be trading SFPs, to be honest with you, because why would we get SFPs from this point? Well, we've had increase in open interest, okay, with this downtrend, because you know, I'm counting today as a downtrend. When you come up and take some highs in this instance, you're going to be scaring, similar thing to what we had there, you're going to be scaring some earlier shorts out of positions and then bringing it down and making them take shorts at a later point. So yeah, the only way I'd really be trading this for shorts right now is SFPs, or we can do the fabled fib pull. Where's that coming in at? Yeah, and I'd say that's really your last point before probably going and claiming the quarter 2 open, because if I pop the swing points and liquidity indicator on, well, there's 360 there, but it's not that crazy amount. But yeah, look, so this is the most likely high to get SFP'd here, where you've got that 98 Bitcoin above these 2 highs. That would be very favorable for it, you know, in order to potentially take a SFP trade from. So yeah, SFP trades for the shorts, long waiting for it to come down here. I don't have anything else. Hopefully you understood, followed along. Magic's gone. I'll do one shitcoin. First person to make a comment wins.
Never gone.
Oh, look, hang on.
Never gone. We have a shitcoin. I do have QNT and Cardano in here, so I will. Oh, there we go.
Fast.
Very, very fast. Oh, man.
That was a little bit too fast for me chubby fingers. It's right back where it was.
You got chubby fingers? The ladies at home want to know.
But yeah, see, that's provided as a bounce already. Ugh. But yeah, that was very fast. Let's go to see how fast that was actually. That was wow. 1, 2, 3. 10 seconds and you were back where you were. Well,
coming for those lows.
It was a bit too fast for me. But yeah, we're back where it was now. So increasing open interest on that. Interesting. Yeah, probably not over then. Probably going to come down again. And you got, look, 438 Bitcoin at the bottom there. I'd imagine that's going to get swung fail and potentially coming down a tad further then. 500 on the 5 minute. Okay. Yeah, maybe it's coming down a touch further then. But you can see how you can use all this analysis thing and identify that the open interest has increased there. So that is going to be the point where it's going to offer us support, and you can get quick moves like that. But yeah, a shame it was a bit too fast for me then. And stream's obviously lagging as well. So it probably already happened to you, like, oh, take it. And then there's me just like 5 seconds later, act like a retailer. Oh, it's a bit too fast.
Be all right.
But yeah, I'm done Magic unless they get a shit. Oh, Solana's Did you just say I've got downs? No, you said I've got Solana. Right, we'll have a look at Solana.
Do you have downs?
I don't have downs. I got that extra chromosome. That is downs.
I was gonna say, everybody, it's life, man. Everybody's got a little ups and downs in them.
Let's go have a look at Solana. I'll do my low time frame open interest analysis rather than Magic have to get his chart and nail that out.
I have a.
Well, you can do that in the background then. You've got decreasing open interest with a downtrend, but the open interest doesn't seem to be all that great here. It seems to be okay, but not amazing. Seems like whenever you get a spike, it's typically a reversal point. You got a huge increase in open interest over here. It was a reversal point. Huge decrease over here. It was a reversal point. What did you have here? Increase-ish towards the high. And right now, you've just had a huge drop. So we have been in a downtrend for the day. So maybe it goes up here, but yeah, it's this looks really shit actually. I can't believe it's not even followed Bitcoin with its uptrend. Oh, it has. Zoom out, Max. Fucking divvy. Yeah, maybe it comes up and tests some highs, but the open interest data isn't that good on that. So if you've got a chart in Magic, you can probably help the guy out much more than I can.
Oh, we could probably do something for you. Oh. Sorry, I haven't had any caffeine yet today, guys. No caffeine. We're working on not doing that first thing in the day. It's tough. I still have the same regions on the chart that I had before, for better or worse. If I had to choose a direction on Solana, I think that you're going to get some range-bound activity. This is an old local low that we'd identified right here, and it was kind of, where we were expecting a bounce. We obviously came back below it, reclaimed it, been holding it as support. If broken, one would think you're going to see lower, but 2211 is actually a fairly important little area. It's your 6M1, your 6-month pivot. But if I had to look at this, I would say consolidation is likely. Done fucked that up, but we'll fix it real quick. We're going to go to the old pattern trading because I know you guys are smooth-brained as fuck and will enjoy it. I would look for something like this, just an overall pattern and a wedge forming. So probably see less volatility going forward and some kind of consolidation. If Bitcoin's breaking to the upside, I would expect this to take a test into the Q2 low and beyond. However, I personally wouldn't touch something like Solana unless it did exactly what I wanted, because it's probably the ultimate shitcoin off the FTX debacle. So unless this comes all the way back down to where I want to swing fail this low, I'm probably not going to touch it. If I miss out on Solana, I miss out on it. Honestly, couldn't give a shit. But that's how I look at Solana. As of right now, you've got support, major support that's been outlined is 1932 to 1892. So that little 40-cent window, once lost, I would expect to see a new low. However, get back above 2211, our EQ here, there's a pretty good chance you start auctioning higher to the upside of this, and tagging these quarterly lows right here. The Q2 and Q3 low are right here, so chart's going to get pretty messy. So I apologize in advance, but when you look at these are the lows that we were looking for right here. Okay, so you get a low here and a low here, and those are important because if you start to peak at these lows on the quarterly chart, these are where really major inflection points are going to be held. So yeah, I mean, one would expect that this is going to be resistance. However, if reclaimed, Solana summer can definitely happen, but I don't really see that happening. I personally would rather come back to the gold pocket here and maybe come down to like the $16 to $13 level first. But if I don't get that, again, I'm just not going to trade it. It doesn't bother me one way or the other. That's how I would treat this asset, though, because it is an absolute, I don't know how to put it. It's an absolute shit coin at this point.
Whoa. I need to buy my stepping shoes, so stop calling
it
shit.
I know. There's a lot of people out there that don't like to hear that. There's a lot of people that think that Solana actually has really good tech, and the blockchain goes down all the time. It's part of the FTX debacle. I just can't conceivably put my money in it outside of a trade. And if the trade was going to happen, it has to be the trade I want. So that's just kind of how I feel about Solana. It is what it is. ADA was one that we just recently were talking about on a live stream. That's in the title of the video. I do want to cover it, right? You had multiple things here. You had the gold pocket, you had a monthly level, you had your Q2 pivot, and your 6M1 pivot. You had this daily here that if this daily holds at 37 cents, one would expect to see 39, probably 41 cents over time. So at the time of the chart build on Solana, not Solana, but ADA, had you taken this trade, you were all the way back down in this region. So you would be up fairly decently right now, even on the pullback. So, the setup was there. The question is, will we reclaim this? If you're looking for further upside, it's a very simple process. I would actually venture you could. What is really? Why? There we go. 37.96 cents is where I'd put it. You can go down the hourly. You can see if we've got decent rejection zone, resistance. Gets reclaimed, you'll probably make a new high and head towards up to the daily at 39.41. However, on the same token, if it can't do that, I would expect it to come down and try to start basing out of this area at 37 cents. And that realistically needs to happen, because if you can't do that, you'll probably retrace this whole pump up, which has been pretty impulsive. And then we just do a range play all the way back down, right? I mean, very, very simple. All the way back down to the quarterly value area low in this pivot region, which I think will be good support again. Very good area to base out of. So if this area is lost at 35 cents, just call it that, it's tough for me to not look for the 2023 open. I do think that you have to keep an eye on the Q1 at 30 cents. However, this open becomes kind of a target, and then I really do start looking for much lower at that time. But until you get those things, you really can't be looking for that move. So locally, need to see about 37 cents holding as support, in my opinion. If that holds, you can start building and making your way through the range here. And if you can do that, good things will happen. This is a really good area to get long. Lots of swing fails, very good invalidation, slightly higher low, gold pocket, multiple averages, plus I think it was an untapped monthly level. It was really nice. Q&T, much the same. This is a level we've been waiting on for quite some time. And the only blue box on the chart, also your 6M2, your 6-month pivot, such an important inflection zone on the chart. And, when you zoom out, you can see why. Why is this such an important area to hang on to? Well, look beneath you. There's nothing there. So the question is, how high can these bounces go? With something like Q&T, realistically, you've got a lot of nonsensical levels here between 114 and 117. Let's zoom out to the weekly. Yeah, about 115. 115 would be fairly important. That's also your monthly high, so that'd be quite the feat to get back above. 115 will be fairly important. And I believe you can always, take a gander if you wanted to at your future pivots. You could always just say, where's my monthly pivot at? Well, it's right here at 107. So this move off the slow, 107 and 105, this little region is probably a pretty quick take profit for me. And you're actually coming into resistance at the quarterly at 111. So realistically, you should have had probably 2 take profits on this one already. Just based on averages. This doesn't mean full-blown reversal, because when you look at this is a pretty nasty downtrend. Until you're effectively living above, this last local high here, it's tough to really call this a reversal other than just a day trade. So if you're sitting out of Q&T, be patient. I would anyway. I'd like to see what happens with this, because if you get the flip of this level, right? If we flip this level, this resistance here, about where the quarterly pivot is and the monthly pivot. If you actually flip this level, you've got pretty good upside. You're probably going to come up here and tag the February and POC, etc. So you're not missing out really. Being patient here will actually pay dividends, setting alerts and paying attention, because this could very easily just roll back over, right? This can very easily do that. And I say that because look at all the prior pumps. Boom. Look at the downtrend that you're in. So you need to see that change of behavior before you can start really getting bullish, right? So don't get ahead of yourself just yet. But that was a good area to get a buy-in. And if you had a preset bid or you took the alert, I think I posted it the day of when we tapped it on in the altcoin chat. I'm not going to tell you guys to buy, but I will post when we hit these targets. They're major targets. So is what it is. You do what you want to do with your money at that point. But yeah, that's how I look at it.
In answer to your question, hello. Yeah, we went over it yesterday in the stream, and then literally you saw all the checklist that I sent in the classroom area. You could have ticked off pretty much every single one of those boxes in order to get into that trade. I'm not sure that's 100% your question. And I think it is. But yeah, last night's reversal up here was, kind of picture perfect type thing. Wasn't the best open interest drop. It wasn't super clean, but
it was that. Yeah, it wasn't as clean as I thought it would be, but it was good.
You could have checked everything off on that checklist, knowing that region is the area that you're most likely going to reverse on. So
the one I'm most interested in watching is Algorand. It's finally come down to the target zone that we had set out last year. It front ran it right here. We finally come down to it, and now you're seeing resistance. So you do got to be careful with this one. If it actually reclaims 15.42 cents, you have a good run. I would say to 16.5 probably up into this region, like this lower region here. Maybe even as high as the 2023 open, but I think that'll be a good area to range from. Because if you don't hold that level, man, I mean, there's really nothing down here. You know, when you look, like, this is all dead territory. So algo would get absolutely crushed. And this is the age old, and Max can attest to this. When you look at a chart and you see that none of these lows have been taken, right? Well, now you're living below them. And what do you think is going to happen? Probably going to rifle through them fairly quickly. So you do need to see some strength out of Algorand in the near future. I have no interest in this coin at the moment until there is strength. And if that means buying at 17 cents on the, the reclaim, something like this, where maybe it bounces here and this is the low and it puts something in, I would gladly trade something like this and take it up. But otherwise,
Head and shoulders.
Yeah. It was it was a mixture between Elliott Waves, harmonics, open interest, and Head and Shoulders, the shampoo.
Yeah. No CBD.
No CBD, not necessary, no delta. But yeah, I mean, there's opportunities, guys, if you're patient. The altcoins have been few and far between, unless you're willing to trade like the real degen shit coins. Those have been the ones that have really moved. With these big caps, when the moves come, they're good, and you can get a good fill. But it's not like Pepe or whatever else is going through the market right now. Max would know better than me. I know he's into his like ARPA and shit. Yeah.
That traded so well the last 2 weeks. It was insane.
Yeah. Well, all right, guys. It has been a minute here. Prior key weekly low. That is the next inflection point we talked about. It's also your 382 fib. If you were to pull the ABCD setup, we've talked about in the group. So this is a big area. So if you're getting kind of a reversal off of it, it's not really surprising. But as Max said, look for these 3 local highs. You're looking for something like so, right? You just put a nice line there. You could identify the exact high. You already have a swing fill at 27,940. But it wouldn't shock me that now that you've swung fail, this low here would, you would just be targeting this local high, basically. So if you were trading this, you have to be looking at this as like so, and then it either comes down or it continues, right? That's really the only option. Max, anything to add before we jump off here? It's been 42 minutes. These public live streams do go on longer than I anticipated.
I was just going to say the fact we did get open interest increase at the low does mean that we've now got some trap traders there. So maybe we do squeeze towards those highs. But I would rather we take that low personally for the uptrend to continue. That's it.
That's it. All right. You guys heard it. He wants to take the low. So be patient, take good trades. Hopefully this was useful. If it wasn't, just put a dislike on the video. It helps anyway. So we appreciate it. And we'll catch you.